Chapter 71 First Use of the Survival Card, Survival Night Ride. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Quadruple Kaiju's turtle-style Qigong wave. Sun Wukong focused all his energy into his hands, unleashing waves of blue light that vaporized the unclean beings surrounding him. Unable to regenerate after such massive destruction, their remains scattered across the ground, but it wasn't enough. More unclean beings swarmed forward, attacking Sun Wukong relentlessly. Whoops, burned through my energy too fast. Sun Wukong quickly ascended, putting as much distance as possible between himself and the horde. He was getting anxious, realizing he'd expended too much power too early. Whatever, no use dwelling on it. Just gotta survive. With renewed determination, Sun Wukong switched tactics and charged, taking the offensive. Some powerful onlookers watched Sun Wukong's ferocious fighting style with admiration, hoping to learn something. Others just thought it was a dumb move. Marvel Universe, Shield. You actually want to practice? Seriously? This isn't a game. Nick Fury rolled his eyes. He'd never sign off on something like that. He'd shut down the stream, not jump into the Red Sea world to fight. Why so uptight? It's not like he's from our world. Tony Stark said dismissively, glancing at the brand new energy arc reactor on his chest. After a ton of work, he'd finally cracked his father's legacy and found a new element to replace palladium. This element was a game changer. Not only was it incredibly powerful, but it had also cured his palladium poisoning. Even Tony Stark, self-proclaimed genius, had to admit his dad was pretty impressive. But there's something Sun Wukong said that's got me thinking. Tony Stark said suddenly. He sensed Leo's energy. Did he pick it up through the screen? Or? A crazy thought hit him, and Tony's eyes widened. DC Universe, a department store in Gotham City. Bang 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 bang. A massive, decaying hand erupted, seemingly from nowhere, through the floors of the shopping mall, crushing everything in its path. Walls were pulverized, creating gaping holes. Luckily, it was late at night, otherwise, it would have caused a complete panic. Help! Monster! Robbers fled in terror, but the hand simply flicked them aside, turning them into paste. The hand then retracted, clutching the remains. Following the arm back, it led to a mirror covering an entire wall. The arm belonged to an unclean one. It notices the Arkham Asylum patients being robbed and eliminates them. The unclean one stared blankly at the world beyond the mirror. The bizarre world filled it with curiosity and a strange sense of familiarity. Then, it began trying to force its head through the mirror. Cracks spiderwebbed across the wall surrounding the mirror. In the mirror world, Bruce Wayne looked at the monster with dread. Damn it! Why did that disc get moved here? Those loonies must have taken it down and stuck it there somehow. Bruce Wayne cursed, knowing these crazies were going to cause some serious trouble. The unclean one's head emerged from the Red Sea world, followed by its arms. The mirror covered a wall dozens of meters long, big enough for an entire unclean one to crawl through. No way. Bruce Wayne couldn't allow that. He couldn't let such a terrifying monster into his world. Final arrival. He leaped out of the mirror world and activated final arrival. The dark-winged bat transformed into a cloak, wrapping around Yi-Chi's body and becoming a black drill, aimed at the unclean one's head. The powerful flying slash struck, forcing the unclean one's head back. Ho ho ho. But it barely had any effect. The Knight Rider's power was insignificant compared to the unclean one's strength. It only caused a minor tremor. Ho ho ho. The unclean one shook its head violently, knocking Yi-Chi away. Beep. The dark-winged bat was thrown off by the shake and hit the other side. Bruce Wayne nearly tumbled out of the hole the unclean one had made. Damn, this thing is strong. Bruce Wayne struggled to his feet, staring at the tall, terrifying unclean one. The unclean one glared at Bruce Wayne, roaring, with murderous intent twisting its features. It increased its efforts to crawl out. Simultaneously, more unclean ones emerged from the sides, trying to squeeze through the vast mirror. Let's try this. Bruce Wayne pulled out 3 survival cards, rewards from defeating the sound beast. enhanced by Knight Rider. He could stack and swipe 3 cards. Here goes nothing. With the power of the survival cards and my will to survive, for the sake of humanity, I can't let these monsters through. Bruce Wayne's determination hardened. He wouldn't back down, even in the face of such horrors. Whoosh whoosh. The whirlwind image on the Gale survival card spun rapidly, creating a fierce wind. The long sword card summoner resonated and turned blue. The shield-like card summoner with a sword was fixed on Knight Rider's right arm. Bruce Wayne inserted the Gale survival card into the new card summoner. Survive, Shippu. Knight Rider was enveloped in a gale. When it dissipated, Knight Rider's armor had turned blue, and the dark-winged bat beside him transformed into a dark invader with gale wings covered in blue mecha, but that wasn't all. The fiery survival card went into the card summoner. Survive, fire. Instantly, intense flames erupted, engulfing Knight Rider's armor. As the flames receded, flame patterns appeared on the blue armor. They looked like swimming dragons. At the same time, the Dark Invader's left mecha wing instantly turned red, burning with flames, contrasting with the blue wing on the right that channeled the wind. Finally, the Infinity Survival card was inserted into the card summoning machine. Survive, Mugen. The last survival card's effect activated, further boosting the power and permanently maintaining the survival form. Chapter 72, Being Tricked, Diana's Rescue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I watched as Yetu's summoning machine glowed gold, and his cloak seemed to be spun from the same precious metal. He looked every bit the king. The Dark Invader transformed too. Its midsection turned gold, matching its wings. 3 distinct energies swirled around it, golden light, flames, and wind. It looked less like a bat now, more like a phoenix. Wow, that's some serious power. Is that what you get from 3 survival cards? Bruce was blown away by the upgrade. Then, he focused on the creatures clawing their way in. You are not welcome here. Bruce roared and pulled his final card. Finally. The Dark Invader contorted, reshaping itself into a killer motorcycle. Bruce hopped on, instantly in sync with the machine. A golden cloak billowed out, shrouding the whole thing. A vortex of wind and fire erupted around them, like a drill aimed at the unclean mob. The motorcycle, formerly the Dark Invader, screamed forward, shattering the sound barrier. It practically vanished. Bang, 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 bang. In the blink of an eye, the heads and arms of the unclean ones exploded, their mangled bodies tumbled backward. Then the motorcycle reappeared, splattered with gore. Crack. Click. The bike morphed back into a bat. Squinting, it looked like the bat was munching on something. Low growl rumbled. Unclean flesh isn't exactly prime rib, is it? It's mutated monster meat, so suck it up. Bruce muttered, hoping to appease the dark-winged bat's protesting stomach and stave off its desire for human flesh. Now, Bruce spotted the Red Sea disc hanging from the broken mirror and bolted for it, but just as he reached for it, a massive, unclean hand shot out from the side. Bruce barely had time to react. The hand slammed down, pinning him to the ground in a crushing grip. Ugh hi. Agony ripped through him, his body screaming. If it weren't for the triple survival enhanced Knight Rider armor, that grip would have pulped him. Fighting through the pain, Bruce glanced at the Red Sea dimension. More of those things were closing in. Rookie mistake. I was so focused on those few, I didn't see the backup. He cursed his carelessness and his stupidity. If he'd been paying attention, he wouldn't be caught in this mess. Now he was trapped, pinned beyond escape. Beep. The Dark Invader dove in to rescue him. Boom. But another unclean hand smashed into the invader, sending it crashing through the wall. No telling where it would end up. His contracted beast was down. No rescue coming. Even Bruce started to panic. I should have told Alfred to have the jet prepped and waiting outside. Regret gnawed at him. He'd been so eager, he'd broken his own rule about having a backup plan. Now he might pay the ultimate price for the mistake. One of the unholy ones raised its hand, ready to shove him into its maw. He struggled, fought with everything he had, but it was hopeless. The thing was too strong. Damn it, is this it? Did that Diana person say she was coming to help? She better not come, or she'll die here too. I just don't know what's going to happen to the world without me. Bruce braced himself, accepting the end. Never speak ill of the dead. A strange female voice echoed. Boom, the ceiling exploded, and a figure dropped into the room, Wonder Woman herself, Diana. Her Amazonian armor gleamed, radiating power, blindingly fast, she became a blur, appearing instantly beside Bruce. The sword of Vulcan flashed, severing the unclean one's wrist like it was butter, freeing Bruce. Diana, Bruce asked, awestruck. Now is not the time for introductions. Diana turned to face the cluster of unclean beings. Ha! She slammed her silver bracelets together, unleashing a wave of light and force. The unclean ones were blasted backward, slammed into the walls. Diana ripped the disc off the mirror. The gateway to the Red Sea snapped shut. Phew! With the unclean ones gone and the Red Sea sealed, Bruce took a ragged breath. You okay? Diana offered him a hand. Thanks. Bruce gripped her hand and pulled himself up, every muscle screaming. Nice armor, but you haven't quite mastered it yet. Keep practicing. Diana grinned and held up the disc. I'll hang on to this. Too dangerous in the wrong hands. She turned to leave. Wait, Bruce grabbed her shoulder, stopping her. Instantly, Diana twisted, seized his arm, flipped him onto the floor, and pinned him. Hey, easy there, short stack. You think I'm gonna let you pull that? Diana sounded annoyed. You've got the wrong idea. Bruce was stunned. He thought he was tough now, but he couldn't last a second against her. Who was this woman? Who are you? No human is that strong. Bruce blurted out the question that mattered most. I'm not exactly human, but you should know, humans in this world aren't as ordinary as you think. People with superpowers do exist. Diana released him and strode out of the room. Chapter 73 rewards Diana with the Sword of Victory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hey, hold on. Who are you? I've got a ton of questions. Bruce Wayne didn't want Diana to leave. She was holding back too much. He wouldn't rest until he figured her out. Sorry, Mr. Billionaire, I'm short on time. But you can call me Wonder Woman. With that, Diana leaped out of the mall, bounding across rooftops and vanishing from Bruce Wayne's sight in a heartbeat. Wow. Superpowers. Is that even possible? Bruce Wayne was stunned. If so, he had a lot to think about. Wee-oo. Wee-oo. Sirens wailed as cops swarmed the area. All that commotion was bound to attract attention. Bruce Wayne had to bail, but not before checking on Darkwing Bat. Darkwing. You okay? Bruce called out, running towards where the bat had been thrown. Beep. The Darkwing Bat responded, slowly rising into the air. All right, Bruce said, then stopped short. The bat looked twice as big, even taller. Did he eat the flesh of those things? Bruce remembered Darkwing Bat snacking on the unclean creatures they'd fought. Could that meat have caused a mutation? No time to investigate now. Luckily, Darkwing Bat was still in control and quickly pulled Bruce into the mirror world, escaping the scene. Congratulations to Diana for successfully containing the Red Sea World Disc. Reward, the Sword of Victory Oath. A voice boomed from the screen, and a long sword materialized in Diana's hand. Incredible, Diana, a weapons expert, immediately recognized the sword's quality. The Sword of Victory Oath isn't just any blade. It's a holy sword forged from planetary power and the faith of the masses. It helped King Arthur defeat countless evils and protect the innocent. It converts the user's power into pure light, capable of various light-based spells. Even a simple beam can unleash astonishing force. Diana's curiosity piqued. She knew the legends of King Arthur, but this origin story was new to her. The concept of faith-based weaponry wasn't foreign. The gods of Olympus used faith to fuel their power and create weapons, but planetary power? That was a mystery. This is a god-tier weapon. I wonder what it's capable of. Intrigued, Diana swung the sword of victory oath casually. She felt a surge of her own power drain into the blade. Instantly, a beam of light erupted from the sword, piercing the night sky and seemingly splitting it in two. Gotham, already on edge from the night's chaos, was thrown into further panic. The strange phenomenon was impossible to ignore. What was that? A shooting star? Nah, that's something else, an alien invasion. It's Gotham's reckoning. The gods have had enough of our sin. Are we doomed? That the city was terrified, living under the constant threat of crime had frayed everyone's nerves. This bizarre event was almost more than they could take. Many dropped to their knees, praying for mercy and protection. Seeing the chaos from her rooftop vantage point, Diana grimaced. She'd overdone it. Bruce Wayne. Diana, was that you? Diana, sorry. I didn't realize it was that powerful. Bruce Wayne, you're making a mess. You're scaring people. Sanji, hey now, take it easy on the lady. A gentleman overlooks a woman's mistakes. Bruce Wayne, Sanji, especially a beautiful woman like her. If they could see him. Sanji was writhing and covered in floating hearts, looking utterly pathetic. Sanji, Miss Diana is gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. Brooke, yeah. And dressed so hot. I'd love to see her panties. Jiraiya, eh. A beauty. Did I miss something? Tsunade, idiot. Focus on our mission. Diana, guess perverts are unavoidable in any dimension. Tony Stark, hey, don't lump me in with them. Natasha, you sure about that? Mr. sleeps with a different woman every night. Tony Stark, those were transactions. Not perversion. Nami, what's the difference? Gross. Tony Stark, okay, let's just drop it. Back to the screen. How's the Red Sea disk situation in our world? Tony wanted to move on and switched the screen. It showed Thor, the god of thunder, already inside the Red Sea world. Ice giant. You think you can hide here? You'll pay for invading Asgard. Thor hammered an ice giant, then looked around, realizing he'd chased it into the Red Sea world by mistake. Where is this? Is Jotunheim like this now? Thor finally realized the environment was wrong, not an ice field, but ruins. Is this one of those containment objects? The screen said something about a Red Sea world. Loki said, having had time to read the information while Thor was fighting. Another dimension? Cool. This looks uninhabitable. How about we conquer it and make it a new territory for Asgard? A king expands his empire. Thor grinned. Roar. The unclean ones roared in response. Chapter 74 Thor's Stupidity. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The thunderclap from Thor's ice giant kill drew the attention of some nasty creatures nearby. Now, a bunch of those unclean ones were barreling towards them at top speed. Okay, people, time to bail. Loki blurted, stepping back as the creatures charged. Sorry, but Asgard doesn't back down from a fight, Thor countered, unwilling to leave. He sensed the creatures meant serious harm and couldn't just run. You're big and fast, but I've taken down plenty like you. Thor leaped forward, Mjolnir crackling with energy, and slammed it into the nearest unclean one. Boom, star, the blow caved in the creature's head, and the giant body collapsed. Not so tough. Thor laughed. Nothing could stand against the god of thunder. Go to hell, you disgusting monsters. This world is mine. With a cocky grin, Thor hurled Mjolnir. The hammer flew like a rocket, smashing into the heads of two more unclean ones. At the same time, Thor jumped onto the head of another creature, and as Mjolnir returned, he grabbed it and brought it down, exploding the unclean one's skull. The remaining creatures, now focused on Thor, began closing in. Seeing himself surrounded by a dozen unclean ones, Thor raised Mjolnir and unleashed a lightning bolt into the sky. The sky turned black, and thunder roared. Aha! Thor brought the hammer down, and lightning rained from the sky, striking the surrounding creatures. Their bodies crackled and exploded, chunks of flesh flying everywhere. momentarily halting their advance. Ha! Thor spun, Mjolnir a blur, knocking down any unclean one it touched. Ha ha ha! See that, you interdimensional freaks? This is the power of Thor, god of thunder. Thor gloated, looking at the fallen creatures. Long live Lord Thor! Volstagg, Sif, and Fandral, the warriors three, cheered their hero, Thor, their god of thunder, was power incarnate, leaving them nothing to do. Loki clapped half-heartedly, a sour look on his face. Just brute strength, nothing special, but then, Loki's eyes widened. The unclean ones were healing rapidly, even regrowing heads, he almost warned Thor, but then a wicked smile crept across his face. He decided to keep his mouth shut. I don't have time to conquer this dump right now. Let's go back and finish off those ice giants, then we'll deal with this dimension, Thor declared, raising his hands in victory and heading towards the warriors three to return to Jotunheim. Lord Thor! Watch out! Sif screamed, before Thor could react, an unclean one's fist slammed into him, boom, star, the impact created a crater, burying Thor, the unclean one grabbed him, lifting him into the air. Thor was a mess, his armor cracked, blood pouring from his mouth, at least he wasn't dead. What the hell? Thor stared in disbelief as all the creatures he'd taken down stood up, wounds vanished. He realized these monsters could heal themselves. Ho 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 ho. The creatures roared, enraged by the pain Thor had inflicted. What are you? Ugly freaks. Thor ripped himself free and swung Mjolnir again, but the unclean ones unleashed a flurry of punches, hitting Thor at once and slamming him into the ground. They continued their assault, their fists a blur, pounding him relentlessly, boom, boom, boom. Star, the earth shook with each blow. The ground cracked, leaving nowhere to stand, the warriors three and Loki looked on, horrified, they couldn't believe Thor, the wise, powerful, invincible Thor, was being pummeled by these monsters. Let Thor go, you bastards. Sif lost it and charged, sword drawn. Aw! Volstagg and Fandral followed, desperate to save Thor, whirring. Star, before they could reach him, two unclean ones punched them, sending them flying like ragdolls. The warriors were sent crashing through the portal to Jotunheim. Lord Thor! Sif tried to stand, but vomited blood and collapsed. Her companions were in no better shape. Loki was the only one left in the Red Sea world. He'd been curious about the unclean one's power, but he never expected this. The creatures stopped their attack. Thor lay bleeding, barely alive. The fact that the Asgardian was still breathing was a testament to his species' resilience. Any human would have been paced after the first round. Brother, looks like you're done for. I'll miss you. Loki turned to leave, but stopped. Chapter 75 Reward Odin's Robe and Frostmourne. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Loki couldn't figure out why he was suddenly so worried about Thor. A gut feeling told him not to leave him. He felt a knot in his stomach. He and his brother weren't exactly close. So why was he fighting his own instincts? Loki, run! Thor's voice, weak but urgent, made Loki freeze. Even badly wounded, Thor understood the situation. He was in no shape to fight. His only option was to get his brother to safety. Ugh, you owe me big time for this. Loki sighed and turned back. The monsters were circling Thor like vultures, practically drooling over who got to tear him apart first. Loki waved his hand, unleashing a surge of magic. Instantly, Thor vanished from sight. The monsters stopped, their claws hanging in the air. Confused, they looked around wildly. Thor had simply disappeared. Roar! 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 One of the creatures roared, slamming its fist into the ground. The earth trembled, a green flash, and there were Loki and Thor again. Loki had used illusion magic to blind them, creating a window to grab Thor and get him out of there, but the trick hadn't worked for long. Hold on, we're getting out of here. Loki hoisted Thor up and charged toward the portal, desperate to escape this nightmare. Roar! 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 The monsters roared, lunging after them, cutting off their escape. seeing the creatures swarm around him, Loki's face went pale. They were trapped, he was no match for that many monsters. Loki! Get down! Odin's booming voice echoed through the chamber. Loki instinctively shoved Thor to the ground and ducked. A massive beam of light blasted out of the portal from Jotunheim. It slammed into the pack of monsters, vaporizing most of them instantly. The remains splattered on the ground. Loki stared at the portal, watching Odin, clad in full battle armor, stride in, Gungnir, the spear of eternity, in his hand. The beam had been fired by Odin using Gungnir, the most powerful weapon in the 9 realms. Asgardian soldiers poured in behind him, helping Loki and Thor to their feet and escorting them back to Odin. Father, Loki started to explain, but Odin cut him off with a shake of his head. Let's get out of here. We'll talk about this later. Odin's tone was calm, but edged with cold fury. Loki knew he was in deep trouble when they got back, but he had no room to argue. They needed to leave. Now. Boom. 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 In the distance, buildings were collapsing, and hordes of monsters were stampeding towards them, flattening everything in their path. It was like a tidal wave of nightmares. Get us out of here, Odin roared the order, urging everyone to retreat as he backed toward the portal, leaving the Red Sea world behind. Find that disc. Shut it down, Odin commanded. The disc was attached to the ice wall, turning the smooth, mirror-like surface into a gateway to the Red Sea world. If they didn't take it down fast, the monsters could pour through. The Asgardian soldiers frantically searched for the disc, but the ice wall was huge, and finding the disc in time seemed impossible. The monster horde was closing in fast. Hiya! Odin thrust Gungnir forward, unleashing a blinding blast of energy, obliterating the monsters in its path, but it wasn't enough. More and more creatures were charging forward. There had to be hundreds of them. We're looking, Your Majesty. But we can't find it, the soldiers were panicking. The disc? You mean the thing itself? Loki realized what they were looking for. He scanned the ice wall and spotted a faint glow high above. He drew a dagger and hurled it at the point of light. Thwack! The dagger hit something, and something fell. It was the disc connecting their world to the Red Sea. The moment it fell, the Red Sea world vanished from behind the ice wall. But then the disc hovered in the air, turned, and flew back towards the ice wall, trying to reattach itself. Odin's left eye flashed with power. A cage of pure energy erupted, trapping the disc and stopping it from reaching the wall. Odin then pulled the Red Sea disc into his hand. The disc thrashed, trying to break free, but once Odin held it, it went still. Father, did we contain it? Loki asked. I think so, Odin said, looking at the screen. The Red Sea world disc in the Marvel Universe has been successfully contained. Rewards are being distributed to Odin and Loki. Loki grinned. So, knocking down the disc counted as a good deed. He wondered what his reward would be. Reward for Loki, Frostmourne. Reward for Odin, Odin's robe. A long sword materialized in Loki's hand. The hilt was shaped like a demon's head, and the blade had jagged edges. A chilling frost radiated from the weapon. A statue appeared before Odin. It was a sword embedded in a large crystal. It looked ordinary, but Odin could sense the tremendous power within. Odin's robe? From which Odin is this? Odin knew he didn't own anything called Odin's robe. It must be from another universe. Odin's robe is the divine battle armor of a certain Nordic god King Odin in the universe. It contains Odin's divine power. When you wear it, you will have unparalleled divine power and pull out the Belmont sword that can cut off all evil in the world. As the screen finished speaking, Odin reached out and touched the crystal. The next second, the crystal broke apart, the fragments becoming pieces of armor that automatically attached themselves to Odin. The Belmont sword fell into his hand. Chapter 76 The Power of Rewards, The Seeds of War. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Odin slipped on the jersey, he felt a surge of power unlike anything he'd ever experienced. It exploded out of him like a geyser, tearing through the sky above Jotunheim and making the ground tremble. This is the power of Odin's gear from another universe. He stared at the shirt in disbelief, overwhelmed by the sudden, massive increase in his abilities, and he sensed this boost was just a taste of what the shirt could do. Odin's this strong in other universes. The multiverse is deeper than I ever imagined. He took a shaky breath. He'd always considered himself a big shot, the king of the 9 realms with few equals, but the shirt showed him how small his worldview was, how naive he'd been. If the gear was this powerful, what must the original Odin be like? The feeling reminded him of his encounter with the Celestials. Father, your power. Loki was stunned by Odin's presence. Just standing nearby, he felt crushed by the raw energy radiating from him. Buzz buzz. Frostmourne trembled in Loki's grip, radiating intense cold, as if struggling against Odin's power, but it was futile. Odin immediately reined in his power, trying to calm himself. He looked at Frostmourne in Loki's hand, a puzzled expression on his face. The icy energy coming off that sword was intense, colder even than Jotunheim itself. Frostmourne, also known as the Sword of Filial Sun. From a world called Azeroth, a lonely, icy sword. It amplifies thoughts, rebirths souls in their fall, breeds disaster in sorrow, and is unstoppable. It only knows destruction. It's light as a feather, cold as ice, its endless power constantly tempts the fallen, especially those filled with misery, offering them the power to take revenge on the world, bringing ruin and disaster. Ability 1, Frost. Holding this sword grants control over ice and snow, but ordinary people can't withstand the intense cold it radiates. Ability 2, Soul Absorption. Kills an enemy, absorbs their soul to grow stronger. Ability 3, Undead Natural Disaster. When activated, summons an army of the undead from the surrounding environment. This undead army consists of the countless enemies Frostmourne has slaughtered, knights, mages, even dragons. Their souls are trapped within the sword. If the wielder has enough power, they can unleash these souls, creating a terrifying undead horde. Loki's eyes lit up as he read the screen. This sword was amazing, full of potential, and even grew stronger over time, perfect for him. He'd always been seen as the runt of the litter, less powerful than the other Asgardians. With this sword, no one would ever look down on him again, but why was it also called the Filial Sun sword? That part confused him. Loki, the ice power of that sword is extreme. Are you alright? Odin asked, concern etched on his face. I'm fine. Actually, I feel comfortable. Loki felt no discomfort holding the freezing Frostmourne. Odin's eyes narrowed, a realization dawning on him. Odin, a furious roar echoed across the landscape. A horde of frost giants charged towards them, clad in armor. At their head was a figure in a king's cloak, radiating power and authority. It was Laufey, king of Jotunheim and the frost giants. Odin. You bring an army to start a war with Jotunheim? Laufey glared at Odin, his voice dripping with rage. Laufey. It's a misunderstanding, Odin said quickly. A misunderstanding? Your son slaughtered my people, and then you bring the Asgardian army to my doorstep. You make this a big production and say it's a misunderstanding. Laufey's voice vibrated with fury, dropping the temperature even further. Blood must be repaid with blood. If you want war, Jotunheim will not back down. His eyes burned with hatred and malice. Asgard's actions had trampled Jotunheim's honor, and there was no going back. Laufey, I brought the army because something terrible will appear, but I told you that you can't do it. Odin tried to explain, unsure whether to reveal the truth about the Red Sea and the contained object. Ha! The great Allfather, reduced to a liar, Laufey sneered, then exploded with power, charging towards Odin. Buzz! Odin's shirt unleashed a burst of energy, throwing Laufey back and scattering the frost giants who rushed to catch him. Heimdall! Odin had no time to argue and could only shout to the sky. The Bifrost slammed down, enveloping the Asgardians and whisking them away from Jotunheim and back to Asgard. Laufey stared at the departing rainbow, his fists clenched in frustration. Many viewers had their own thoughts. Tony Stark, okay, I think you guys are in deeper trouble. Nick Fury, this is provoking a war between two alien species. Odin, this is Asgardian business. It has nothing to do with you. Warring states, so, what are you going to do? Start a war, Odin, I'll try to avoid it. Ancient One, I'm more interested in your rewards. Odin's robe, God's armor. I wonder how much they'll amplify your power. Odin, I haven't had time to analyze them, but even a small part of their power puts me far beyond my current abilities. If I unlocked everything, I might reach the highest power in the universe, a single universe. Ancient One, what? Hearing how powerful Odin's rewards were, the Ancient One's face became serious. Odin hadn't attacked Earth before, but what if this power gave him new ideas? She gripped the eye of Agamotto tighter. Against someone on the scale of a single universe, she'd need the full power of the Time Stone, plus the power of the demon gods, just to stand a chance. This screen's been a bit much. It never gave me a chance to act. Ancient One couldn't help but complain, stunning the others in the room. Congratulations to Sun Wukong from the Dragon Ball universe for successfully containing the Red Sea Disc. Chapter 77 Reward Super Saiyan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dragon Ball Universe, Goku, battered and bruised, clutched the Red Sea Disc, groaning in pain. He was riding in a cart pulled by Xie Yun and her maid. Sorry to ask, but I need you to take me to the Palace of Hell. Goku said, grateful. Don't worry about it. You saved me, after all. That monster would have dragged me there if it weren't for you, Xie Yun replied. Her maid, the snake girl, eyed the Red Sea Disc in Goku's hand. What is that thing anyway? She asked, puzzled. Goku chuckled wryly. It's a long story. He'd barely escaped with his life. More and more of those weird, tainted creatures kept appearing, and Goku couldn't fight them all off. He was seriously injured, he'd had to pull out all the stops just to get away. It was humiliating getting his butt kicked so badly. Good thing Saiyans get stronger every time they're nearly killed. Xie Yun was helping him recover, and when he was back to full strength, he'd be even stronger than before. Suddenly, a voice boomed from the screen. Congratulations to Son Goku from the Dragon Ball universe for successfully containing the Red Sea Disc. You will now be rewarded with the power to transform into a Super Saiyan. Information flooded Goku's mind. Meanwhile, in space, Vegeta and Nappa were closing in on Earth. What? Super Saiyan. Vegeta jumped to his feet, staring at the screen in disbelief. He knew what a Super Saiyan was, the most powerful warrior in the universe. He'd always thought it was just a myth. But apparently, it was real. The screen explained, Super Saiyan is the legendary strongest warrior of the Saiyan race. To transform, an ordinary Saiyan must train hard to increase their strength, cultivate a calm heart, and then explode with intense anger. Both Goku and Vegeta were glued to the screen. Transforming into a Super Saiyan multiplies your power 50-fold. However, there are side effects, and it's very energy-consuming. Extensive physical and mental training is required to minimize waste and reduce side effects. The screen continued, Super Saiyan isn't the ultimate form either. Then, the voice went silent. Whoa, 50 times stronger? That's way crazier than the Kaioken, Goku muttered, stunned. If he weren't still recovering, he'd try to transform right now. Back in space, Vegeta clenched his fists. He'd heard the bit about a calm heart, but was more concerned with the anger. You need a stable heart, and be extremely angry. How angry do you have to be? Being under Frieza's thumb made him angry, but apparently, it wasn't enough. Damn Kakarot. You get the power to transform into a Super Saiyan. Prince Vegeta, will definitely do it too. Vegeta's face darkened. He refused to be outdone by some low-class warrior. Wait a minute, the Dragon Balls. I can just use the Dragon Balls to become a Super Saiyan. Vegeta's face broke into a cold smile. Meanwhile, users were leaving comments on the screen. Bruce Wayne, wait, he can turn into a Super Saiyan. Goku's a Saiyan. Sun Wukong, yeah, haven't I mentioned that? I was sent to Earth when I was a baby. Bruce Wayne, why were you sent to Earth? Sun Wukong, to invade it. Apparently Saiyans send their babies to conquer planets to get stronger. I hit my head. though, so I forgot all about it. Always thought I was an earthling. Nick Fury, hold on. You were sent here by invaders, and now you're turning against your own people. Sun Wukong, they aren't my people. Even if I'm a Saiyan, I'm an earthling first. Bruce Wayne. Piccolo, don't even start. Goku is dangerous and a threat to Earth. But don't worry, that idiot doesn't have those kinds of thoughts. Sun Wufan, my dad would never hurt the Earth. Vegeta, he's a traitor. Don't think becoming a Super Saiyan makes you invincible. I, Prince Vegeta, will surpass you. Sun Wukong, bring it on. Bruce Wayne watched the conversation, saying nothing. As far as he was concerned, an enemy's people were never to be trusted. If it were him, he'd be keeping a close eye on all of them. Good thing we don't have aliens like that on our planet, Bruce Wayne muttered with relief. Doraemon, wait a minute, so the only world that hasn't contained a threat yet is the Naruto world. Luffy, why aren't they responding? Something must have happened. Natasha, take a look and see. Everyone turned to the screen showing the Naruto world. They saw Kakashi and Might Guy running for their lives. A dozen of those tainted creatures were hot on their heels. They were pulling out all the stops to escape. Might Guy had even unlocked several of the 8 gates, and Kakashi was using the Sharingan to its full potential, but no matter how fast they went, they couldn't shake the group of unclean people. Roar, 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 that the unclean creatures were relentless, forcing Kakashi and Might Guy to constantly dodge and weave. Kai! I told you not to come in here, and now look at the mess we're in. Kakashi yelled, panicked. Sorry. I didn't expect there would be monsters this scary. Might Guy looked equally shaken. When they'd first encountered the unclean, they tried to fight, but neither Might Guy's taijutsu nor Kakashi's ninjutsu had any effect. Even when they did manage to inflict damage, the creatures healed instantly. Then, more of them showed up, forcing them to flee like rats in a maze. Hang on, the exit's right there. Might Guy shouted, spotting the entrance in the distance. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, more unclean creatures materialized, blocking Kakashi and Guy's path. Between those and the ones chasing them from behind, they were completely surrounded. Chapter 78 Shenwei's Escape, a Critical Moment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Damn it, panic flooded Kakashi's eyes as he took in the sight of the unclean one surrounding him. Even after countless battles, he couldn't maintain his composure. Their power, speed, and self-healing were just too damn terrifying. Kakashi. Run! Might Guy's shout cut through the air. This mess is my fault. I dragged you into this. Let me cover you, just get out of here. Guy braced himself, ready for a fight. Guy, you don't mean. Kakashi understood instantly. Exactly. I'll make a path for you. I'm unleashing the 8 inner gates. Guy took a deep breath, preparing to unlock all 8 gates at once. Idiot. It hasn't come to that. Kakashi grabbed Guy's shoulders. Who? An unclean one's fist was already falling, about to smash them both. Kamui. Kakashi ripped off his forehead protector, revealing the Mangekyo Sharingan, and activated his Kamui. In a flash, he and Guy were sucked into another dimension, narrowly avoiding the attack. A moment later, they were ejected from the extra-dimensional space 20 yards from the entrance. Ha, just in time. Kakashi gasped, winded. Kakashi, I didn't know you had that up your sleeve. Guy exclaimed, surprised. That move eats up a ton of chakra. Kakashi's voice was weak, and he started to collapse. Luckily, Guy caught him. Hang in there, I'll take care of Kakashi. As Guy prepared to carry Kakashi away, a huge rock hurtled toward them from behind. It slammed into them hard. Boom, the impact sent Kakashi and Guy flying, crashing to the ground. They were instantly seriously injured. Cough, damn it. Guy stared in disbelief at the unclean one raising its left hand, the one who had thrown the boulder. Damn it, we were so close. Kakashi glanced at the entrance, blocked by rubble. Outside, several Jonin arrived, led by ninja dogs. Since Konoha had been invaded recently, manpower was stretched thin for reconstruction, patrols, and everything else. The ninja dog had had to pull some strings to gather these jonin. Hey, there's another world behind this mirror. Are you kidding me? Asuma stared at the mirror, dumbfounded, and reached out to touch the rocks blocking the passage. Kakashi and Guy are on the other side. Move the rocks, quick. Kakashi's in bad shape. The ninja dog barked urgently. Got it. Leave it to me. Asuma focused his chakra and shattered the rocks with a powerful strike. He saw Kakashi and Guy lying on the ground, and an unclean one lumbering toward them. The jonin froze, shocked by the sight of the towering, terrifying monster. This thing was practically the size of the nine-tailed fox. What the hell was it? Kakashi. Guy, Kurenai screamed, panicked by their injuries, and rushed forward with the others to rescue them. Boom, an unclean one's arm slammed down in front of the mirror entrance, blocking their path. Another unclean one bent down, peering at the jonin. Asuma and the others recoiled in horror. No one could stay calm in the face of such a grotesque and massive monster. You. The unclean one, sensing life in the other world, stretched out its fingers, but the opening was too small. Its fingers couldn't fit through without blocking it. Crack, crack, crack. The walls around the mirror began to crack and crumble under the pressure. The jonin grimaced, terrified that the monster would break through. Boom, suddenly, something crashed to the ground behind them, and they whirled around in alarm. Jiraiya. You idiot, where were you trying to drop me? No, it was an accident. I swear, I was just holding on so you wouldn't fall. You think I'm buying that? Tsunade and Jiraiya were bickering loudly. Tsunade was yelling at Jiraiya, who was sprawled on the ground with a sheepish look. Who are you? Kurenai snapped, taking a fighting stance. Tsunade glanced at the unclean one's fingers. Sorry, no time for explanations. I'll fill you in later. She hauled Shizun to her feet and glared at Jiraiya and Naruto, who were still dazed. Sighing, Tsunade turned to Shizun. Let's go. Right, Tsunade-sama. Tsunade raced toward the unclean one's fingers, reinforcing her arms with armament haki and gathering a massive amount of chakra. Tsunade's enhanced strength, combined with the boost from the haki, pushed her destructive power to unbelievable levels. Boom, Tsunade unleashed a flurry of punches, sending the unclean one's fingers flying back. She and Shizun dashed into the other world. Kakashi and Guy had been captured by the unclean ones, who seemed to be discussing how to divide them as a meal. Let them go, Tsunade shouted, arriving in front of the monsters, and released a wave of Conqueror's haki. The overwhelming pressure washed over the unclean ones, disrupting their minds and their control over their bodies. They released Kakashi and Guy. Tsunade grabbed the two men, tossing Kakashi to Shizun. Catch, one person carrying the other. They ran towards the entrance. You. The unclean ones recovered, spotting two more humans. They roared and charged. TCH, not enough heat, huh? Shizun. Tsunade flung Guy toward Shizun. Shizun anticipated the move and used a shadow clone to catch Guy, then sprinted faster. Just stay put. Tsunade channeled a huge amount of chakra into her arm, compressing all her armament haki into that limb. Hoa! Tsunade slammed her fist into the ground. Boom, boom, boom. The ground erupted, torn apart by Tsunade's strike. The unclean ones lost their footing and tumbled. Shizun had anticipated the attack and leaped into the air to avoid the tremors. Chapter 79, Rewarding the Yetu bloodline, all sheltered successfully. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shizun leaped back to avoid whatever that weirdness was on the ground. He bolted towards the entrance and burst outside with incredible speed. Tsunade-sama. Get back here, quick. Shizun yelled, turning to look at her. Right, Tsunade acknowledged, sprinting towards the exit. Hoo. A bunch of those unclean things surged forward, trying to block Tsunade's escape. Out of my way, Tsunade scowled, unleashing a wave of intense, overwhelming power. this wasn't just simple intimidation, the ground around her cracked and splintered like a spiderweb, the flesh of the unclean ones began to decompose, their massive bodies lost control, collapsing heavily to the ground. Not long after mastering Haki, Tsunade was already using it like a pro. Bang! 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 Tsunade stomped on the floor like explosions, each stomp launching her higher and higher, back to the village through the mirror in an instant. Basuma and the others stared, stunned. They didn't know who Tsunade was, but her power was terrifying. Not a single Jonin present was sure they could stand up to her. Once Tsunade was out, Xie Yun grabbed a kunai and sliced off the glass attaching the Red Sea disc. That way, even if it remained connected to the Red Sea world, nothing could pass through such a tiny opening. Hoo. The unclean things on the other side roared at the small hole. They desperately wanted to get through and taste the breath of life, but they couldn't fit. They just stood there, howling their frustration before finally wandering off. Who knows if they'll be lurking, waiting for someone to come along. We'll put it in a box and lock it up. Xie Yun took out a small wooden box, placed the disc inside, and sealed it. Are you by any chance Tsunade Senju, granddaughter of the first Hokage? Asuma asked. I am. Tsunade nodded. It really is you. Lady Tsunade. Realizing her identity, everyone was shocked and bowed respectfully. Alright, no need to be so formal. Tsunade glanced at Jiraiya and Naruto, who were finally getting to their feet. Took you too long enough to get up. You were completely useless. Tsunade said, annoyed. Jiraiya and Naruto sheepishly scratched their heads. Congratulations to the Naruto world for successfully containing the Red Sea World Disc and awarding Xie Yun Yatsura the Night Rabbit bloodline. The voice from the screen announced. Xie Yun felt a strange shift within her. The Night Rabbit clan is a powerful alien race from another universe, with strength far beyond that of humans on Earth. With age and training, their power will continue to grow, easily surpassing human limitations. Originally, the Night Rabbit blood was infused with a primal killing instinct, taking over their bodies and leaving them vulnerable to sunlight. But the Night Rabbit bloodline granted by the screen will not have these drawbacks. The screen's explanation continued. Xie Yun listened in shock. Was she no longer from Earth? Had she suddenly become an alien? How bizarre. Xie Yun, no matter what blood you have, you're still Xie Yun, Tsunade said, patting her shoulder reassuringly. No matter what kind of blood you have, you've inherited my medical skills and can treat the injured. Remember that, Xie Yun. Never forget that. Tsunade knelt down, using medical ninjutsu to treat the severely injured Kakashi and Might Guy. Yes. Tsunade-sama. Xie Yun nodded firmly, her earlier anxiety fading away. She immediately joined in the treatment. How are you feeling now? Tsunade asked while she was healing. I feel so much power inside me, like I have to unleash it, Xie Yun replied. The screen said they're a fighting race from another universe. I guess they're just born to fight. Luckily, you won't be consumed by that instinct. Tsunade nodded thoughtfully. But it doesn't feel right that I'm the only one getting a reward. Tsunade-sama did all the work. Xie Yun felt uneasy that she was the only one being recognized, even though Tsunade had done most of the fighting. The reward probably goes to whoever secures the disc. Don't worry about it. I'm doing alright anyway. Tsunade waved it off, focusing on the treatment. Their conversation was quiet enough that no one else could hear. After more than half an hour, Kakashi and Might Guy were finally stable. They were still injured, but no longer in critical condition. You'll be fine with some rest, Tsunade said, wiping the sweat from her brow. The others breathed a sigh of relief. Losing 2 Jonin would be a major blow to Konoha, especially during these turbulent times. Lady Tsunade, what about that entrance? And what was up with those monsters? Yuhi Kurenai asked, unable to contain her curiosity. It was the question on everyone's mind. Those monsters were truly terrifying. They were probably even worse than the 9-tailed fox. Well. Faced with their questions, Tsunade hesitated. The live broadcast of contained entities, the Red Sea world, the unclean ones, it was all challenging everything they knew. she didn't know where to begin. Ahem, I'll explain everything after Tsunade becomes the 5th Hokage, Jiraiya interjected, giving Tsunade a look. She's the next Hokage? The others looked shocked. Yes, the world is changing drastically. These things can't be explained by simple ninja wars, Tsunade added. I'll tell you all the details at the Hokage inauguration meeting. For now, everyone needs to be prepared to protect the village. If you encounter anything strange, don't try to handle it alone. Report it to me immediately. With that, Tsunade and Jiraiya left for the Hokage building to meet with the elders. Meanwhile, people were discussing on the screen, Bruce Wayne, so every world has successfully contained one. I hope it keeps up so everyone can get new things. Diana, this is true, I am very satisfied with this new weapon. Bruce Wayne, I just hope you can control it properly. Zoro, a new weapon. I still prefer my swords. It suits me so well. Sun Wukong, I'm a little curious about the Night Rabbit bloodline. The strongest fighting race in the universe? Sounds a lot like Saiyans. Vegeta, there is no race in the universe comparable to the Saiyans. Chapter 80 Tony Stark's Crazy Idea. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sun Wukong, a 50-fold transformation. That's insane. Vegeta, Kakarot. Just because you went Super Saiyan doesn't make you unbeatable. I'm Prince Vegeta, and I'll get there too, Piccolo, keep dreaming. We'll have taken you out long before that happens. I'm strong enough to handle you right now. Vegeta, just wait until I get to Earth. You'll eat those words. Tony Stark, hold on a sec, Sun Wukong. Got a question for you, and it's important, so listen up, Sun Wukong, huh? What's up? Sun Wukong was puzzled. Tony Stark, you said you sensed Leo's power. Was that in the Red Sea world, or just from watching the screen? Sun Wukong, Red Sea world, definitely. I didn't have time to watch any screens back then. Tony Stark, okay, so did you sense the power of those Asgardians fighting too? Sun Wukong, now that you mention it, yeah. I felt some faint energy in the distance, then, bam, a huge power surge. Sun Wukong, whoa, not even slow on the uptake. Sun Wukong finally got it. Tony Stark, ah. Knew it. Even though we're entering the Red Sea world from different universes, it's the same Red Sea world, Marvel Universe, S.H.I.E.L.D. Tony Stark, his theory confirmed, was practically bouncing off the walls. If this was true, everything changed. Hey, Stark, chill. What's got you so wound up? Nick Fury asked, looking confused. Man, Fury, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. Tony Stark rolled his eyes, making Fury's face darken. Tony Stark, if it's the same Red Sea world, then people from different universes can meet. Cross-universe interaction. Doesn't that blow your mind? The others were floored, realizing the implications. Sun Wukong, so, I can meet people from other universes. I can fight strong guys from other universes. Leo, no, Feng Yuan, let's go. Feng Yuan, huh, Sanji, does this mean I can finally meet those two babes, Diana and Tsunade? Diana. Tsunade. Tony Stark, priorities, people. The big deal is communication. Aren't you curious about their tech and abilities? Sengoku, true. The Dragon Ball guys are crazy strong, and Naruto's ninjutsu is amazing. I'd love to learn some to boost the Navy's power. Tsunade, this is interesting. I have a few questions about hockey. Bruce Wayne, I think Tony Stark's getting at something bigger here. You're thinking about technology. Tony Stark, finally, someone gets it. Look at the rewards we've been getting, high-tech, giant robots, plasma cannons, Kamen Rider armor. I'm dying to get my hands on them. We could share research, Tony Stark, and even better, I could score some gadgets from the Doraemon world. That's top-tier future tech. Mentioning Doraemon's gear, everyone's eyes lit up, the Anywhere door, the Liar's Mirror, the Hopter, the Duplicator, game-changing tech, and everyone wanted a piece. Tony Stark, hey. Doraemon, you still there? I want to buy your stuff. Name your price, I got the cash. Sengoku, if possible, I'm in too. Just the liar's mirror and the duplicator for me. Nami, me too. Duplicator all the way. Treasure, treasure, treasure. Jiraiya, we need that tech in our world. Doraemon, hold on. Even if I wanted to sell, your money's no good here. I can't use it. Tony Stark, doesn't matter. I can trade skills. Nick Fury, Stark, you think they care about your skills? Fury, in true Fury style, leaned in to deliver the burn. Tony Stark's grin froze. Do they even care about my skills? This was a new level of frustration for Tony Stark. He was a world-renowned billionaire and scientist. He could buy anything, and people would kill for his tech, but in Doraemon's future world, he was just another guy. How was he, the man who solved everything with money, supposed to handle this? Watching Tony Stark experience the shame of being broke, Natasha and Barton nearly lost it laughing. But the discussion continued on the screen. Sengoku, how about devil fruits? Eat one, get superpowers. You don't have anything like that over there. Doraemon, we have other ways to get superpowers. But yeah, you guys don't have anything like that. Jiraiya, I can trade ninjutsu lessons. Zhu Xingtuan, hold your horses, people. Don't forget about the unclean ones in that world. Tony Stark, just be careful. Don't make a sound, and they won't notice. Like those mobile task forces in the video did, right? Tony Stark, speaking of which, I bet there's some serious scientific data in that research facility. Maybe we could meet up there. Zhu Xingtuan, are you sure you thought this through? You're forgetting the unclean ones aren't the real problem. There are worse things in that world. Everyone was stumped. Worse than the unclean ones. Bruce Wayne, the god that created the unclean ones and destroyed the Red Sea world. And the cultists out there in space waiting to come back. The memory of the previous video flooded back, right? The Red Sea world had an evil god and its loyal followers waiting to return.